Hi guys, I'm Benjamin, the Spotlight Kid, and welcome to another episode of Album Explorations. Today, we're going to shine the spotlight on an absolute classic album from the somewhat underrated yet totally kick-ass band, Alcatrazz, and their debut monster, No Parole for Rock and Roll. So, Alcatrazz was put together by Graham Bonnet, the superpowered vocalist formerly of Rainbow and the Michael Schenker group, and who would also go on to many other things, many other projects. But after having produced two drop-dead classic albums with those two bands, he wanted to put together his own band, so teamed up with Gary Shea on the bass and Jimmy Waldo on keyboards. And initially, they also had Clive Burr, interestingly enough, from Iron Maiden, of course, on drums. Clive, however, would quit the band after a week or so when he realised that the band would be based in America and not his native UK. So it's a bit unfortunate that we missed out on seeing what that could have been like. Anyway, he was replaced by Jan Uvina from Iron Butterfly. Finally, of course, we had the young Swedish guitar prodigy Yngwie Malmsteen on the guitar. Yngwie was discovered by Mike Varney of Shrapnel Records in 1982 when Mike heard Yngwie's 1978 demo tape, Powerhouse, and was blown away by the young maestro's dizzying fretboard heroics. Varney brought Yngwie out to the US, and he would join the band Steeler on their debut album. However, Yngwie was far too reined in and constricted in that band, and ultimately parted ways with them. When the opportunity to play with Graham Bonnet, formerly of Rainbow, in a band that was trying to capture the vibe of that band, Yngwie, who was a huge Ritchie Blackmore and Rainbow fan, jumped at the chance, and with that, the mighty Alcatrazz was born. Bonnet and Malmsteen would write the bulk of the material on the album, with Waldo also making some contributions. So, in 1983, the band would release their debut album through Rockshire Records, the killer No Parole for Rock and Roll. So let's dive in and see what this album has to offer. Track 1, Island in the Sun. So this one kicks off with bright, almost triumphant keyboards and Yngwie's chords laced with ornamentations and trills. The band immediately oozes that Bonnet-era Rainbow vibe, and for the most part that continues across the whole album. However, Yngwie, while somewhat paying homage to Blackmore's style and songwriting sense, definitely breathes a new life into that style with his own brand of guitar wizardry. The song has an upbeat, almost happy vibe, but Bonnet's powerful voice gives the whole thing a darker edge and a ferocity that's definitely keeps it metal, keeps it heavy anyway. Maybe not quite metal, depends how you categorize these things, of course. I think it's pretty metal. He sings about the lives of the infamous prisoners of that famous prison that the band is named after, of course, Alcatrazz. Graham always writes great lyrics too, and here he somewhat sardonically writes about the prisoners fancying themselves as writers of great wisdom-filled prose that are also, of course, full of lies. Graham handles the subject matter perfectly, and his vocals do so equally well. The chorus is very catchy, and both vocally and from the band. Yngwie is showcasing his abilities straight away. When the solo comes in, it's clean and precise and, lightning fast, yet still emotive. I'll never understand people who say he doesn't play with any feeling or emotion. I just don't get that. When I hear it, I hear a ton of emotion in his playing. Maybe that's because I grew up listening to classical music and playing classical music when I was in school. I played in orchestras, I used to play clarinet, and used to sing in the school choirs, so I don't know. To me, I can hear, plenty of emotion in his playing. Even when he's doing the bluesy stuff, I think he does that bluesy stuff great. Anyway, so yeah. That brings us on to track 2, General Hospital. Here, Graham is telling the tale of finding himself awoken by the cries of old men calling for help and facing some kind of grim death, only wanting to leave this dreaded hospital, only to be told to relax and rest while being injected against his will with some kind of unknown and unwanted substance. A kind of scary and pretty metal topic. However, the band is again still fairly upbeat about the whole thing. You know, the riffs are killer from Yngwie throughout, showing again what a great songwriter he can be. And Graham carries the vocals forward, you know, with his unmatched power and coolness. The guitar solo is also another display of Yngwie's complete mastery of the instrument. It's easy to see why he blew everyone away at the time, made a lot of the popular guitarists at that time a bit nervous too. The way the guitar riff in the chorus chugs along and does that ascending thing is so damn cool. I love it. Anyway, that brings us to track 3, Jet to Jet. So this one kicks off and really has that sort of mid-period rainbow sound about it straight away, riffing hard and with the organ filling out the sound. Graham here is perhaps speaking from experience or just speculating about arriving as a white man in Africa and seeing the way other white people conduct themselves and the burden they put onto the local black population and the racism as well, that was still probably quite prevalent at the time. Again, the characteristic, almost happy hard rock vibe of this album is here again musically, but with Graham's stinging critique being delivered with his usual chainsaw-like power. Then we get to Yngwie's solo, and we get the first full taste of his neoclassical power and a glimpse into his musical future. The keyboards play a cool 80s futuristic line behind the solo, which creates a great mood too. The song is again supremely catchy in both the verses and chorus, and is another fantastic killer addition to the album. Track 4, Hiroshima Mon Amour. Yngwie's haunting lead hangs over the keyboards and swells as it bursts into their verse riff. Graham passionately and poetically is telling us about the Hiroshima atomic bomb and the devastation it caused. He asks for forgiveness from the Japanese people while really expecting none. He does, however, also show, perhaps again cynically, the justifications for the bombing and how the Americans believed they were doing the truly right thing in bombing Hiroshima. It's a love letter to the Japanese people in a sense, and in the capable hands of Graham Bonnet, it's told with class and style. Musically, the verses are as catchy and memorable as always, and when the chorus comes in, the power ramps up, and it's just pure epic goodness. The emotion of the lyrics are spilling out like Niagara Falls, and the whole thing is fantastic. Yngwie again gives a scarily good shred attack solo, and Jimmy Waldo rounds it out at the end of the section with a tasty keyboard flourish. Really amazing song. So next we come to track 5, Kree Nakuri. So this song tells the true story of an indigenous Brazilian tribe that had remained uncontacted by the modern world up until 1961, when a British explorer discovered them in a part of the jungle believed to be uninhabited at that time. He was not lucky enough to survive that encounter, however, as he was murdered by the tribe. In 1967, the tribe discovered an airfield and were amazed by the airplanes, believing them to be living beings. Anyway, the tribe would ultimately become another victim of modernity and colonialism, being removed from their land in which a highway would be built, and to be eventually greatly diminished through exposure to disease and environmental decimation. So this is basically what the song is about, more or less. The song opens with a propeller-like sound effect, I guess representing the aeroplanes. Then a tense keyboard line and guitar riffing build up, with of course some Malmsteen explosions laced around it. That builds to the powerful main theme. It reminds me of how to put this, like the soundtracks to like old black and white or those early color movie epics, about explorers or adventurers going into, the dark, unknown jungles or deserts of the world. Just really sort of like dark but grand. It has that grand old style movie minor key thing, that kind of feel anyway. It's hard. I know there's got to be a better way to describe it, but anyway, that's what it sort of sounds like in my head when I hear that theme. Anyway, so there are vocal harmonies and guitar and keyboard epicness throughout. Yngwie is, he's dropping his wonderful embellishments everywhere as well, and that just lifts everything too. It just adds more class and tastiness to the whole thing. It just sets it above, His solo is again rich and jaw-dropping shred mastery. The cleanness of his shredding at this point of his career too, I must say, was unmatched. He, just so cool. We get a nice mood change as it gets sort of gentle for a while, and Yngwie sort of shows us how well he can handle that too, only to then ramp everything up again to that main theme again. A unique masterpiece of a song. That brings us to track 6, Incubus. Here we get a beautiful neoclassical instrumental piece, showing again what Yngwie had up his puffy sleeves for the future. It's short and sweet and totally kick-ass. Very enjoyable, brief musical passage. So that brings us along to the fantastically titled Too Young to Die, Too Drunk to Live. This one comes out of the gate rocking hard with a sick guitar riff and keyboard, bass and drum groove. Straight to the point rocker. Graham's wonderful lyrics again make a kind of social commentary about young attitudes towards the party lifestyle and the concept of being indestructible in youth, only to grow older and mature and yet still yearn for that much needed drink after a long hard day. The verse melodies on this album are all super catchy, and this song is no exception. The fantastic melody from Graham and great driving groove by Yngwie and the rest of the band. That great line of the chorus is delivered with Graham's unmistakable power and passion. The whole thing just kills. The solo begins sounding like a kind of throwback to 70s metal masters, but then Yngwie twists his classical styling into it, then erupts into his mind-bending speed again. Waldo again gives us a keyboard solo to wrap up that passage of the song, and we finish with Graham's fantastic melodies. That brings us to track 8, Bigfoot. This one kicks off with one of the coolest Yngwie riffs on the whole album, intricate and driving elegantly forward into the verse, where Graham sings with vocal harmonies about the abominable snowman or Bigfoot, as the title says. But the lyrics seem to be more abominable snowman territory, if you ask me. But anyway, could be wrong. This one isn't really too high-minded though, thematically, lyrically, but it's really all about the music. It's laced with rich, warm vocal harmonies, and the band grooves slowly but powerfully behind it, all building the tension. The chorus always ends up stuck in my head for days after listening to that Himalaya, mountains are your home. It gets lodged in there. I find myself singing it all the time. It's so catchy and kick-ass. Anyway, but Yngwie gives us a great building instrumental passage leading to his ripper of a solo, and the feel moves underneath as well. The keyboards are very effective as well at helping to add the moodiness to the track. Just another killer song. We get to track 9, Star Car Lane. A great melodic guitar line and keyboard line punctuated by a mini Yngwie solo opens this rocker of the track. Graham's distinctive catchiness is immediately in full effect in the verse and into the uplifting pre-chorus and chorus. He's regaling us about a childhood memory of being with his grandfather and many simple but beautiful activities they shared, and how this place, Star Car Lane, brings back these precious memories. Yngwie gives us another fireworks display on the guitar, once again cementing his supremacy at the time. This song rocks hard, but like all the songs on this album, is packed tight with emotion and feeling. A short but masterful heavy rocker. Finally, we get to track 10, Suffer Me. So this song is about some kind of relationship-based longing, and it's a bit of a musical departure as it is quite slow and ballad-like biting my own tongue. Is a bit slow and ballad-like for the first half. Graham sings, with an overflowing cup's worth of passion and carries the first half, really. It's all on him. However, the band then kicks in musically and changes it into a slow, epic, grand, powerful build-up, and eventually Yngwie carries the song through to the outro with another breathtaking guitar solo performance. Shredding, yes, but still loaded with feeling. I have slightly mixed feelings about this track though. I think it ends beautifully, and Graham's passionate performance is commendable, but it feels a little out of place on this album. I like the song, but don't love it, and feel like it's a bit of a flat way to end this killer of an album. Anyway guys, that brings us to the end of No Parole for Rock and Roll. So how would I rate this album? Well, this album just falls short of perfect for me. As I said, I feel Suffer Me is a bit of a step down from the other tracks and feels like a slightly weak song to end on. I say weak compared to the other tracks because it's still a good song, but I don't personally love it, and I do sometimes skip it when not in the mood for it. Also, the production is decent, but not great. I wish they'd had someone like maybe a Martin Birch to handle the production. I think we would have had an even more amazing album if that had been the case. However, apart from that, I love everything else about this album. The band performances are as solid as that rock on the album cover. Graham Bonnet is absolutely on fire on this album, both from a performance point of view as well as from a songwriting one. And Yngwie, what can you say? But wow, the young guitar god is slightly more restrained than on his own solo material that would follow, but still at his speedy, precise best. Like Graham, Yngwie here is also excelling in both performance and songwriting, and showing the world that a new guitar god had arrived. I love all the songs on this album, except Suffer Me, which I like sometimes. So with all that being said, I'm giving this album a very strong 9 out of 10. I would highly recommend this album to fans of hard rock and early heavy metal in the style of, say, Rainbow or MSG. That's Michael Schenker Group. But really, anyone who loves great melodic and exciting guitar playing should get a kick out of this one. I love it. Anyway, so that's it for today. Thanks for helping me shine the spotlight on this fantastic classic heavy metal masterpiece. Please like and subscribe, and go check out my other videos on the channel. Also, I would love to hear your thoughts on this album. So let me know in the comments. And yeah. Anyway, from me, the Spotlight Kid. Thanks for watching. stay metal, and see you next time.